Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, 911 Public Education, The Big Picture with Patti Davis, Central Texas Council of Government. This training is brought to you by Commercial Electronics. If you would like to learn more about our recording solution and third-party quality assurance services, visit comelectronics.com. This webinar is part of our Public Safety Education series, and you can view our upcoming webinars on our training page at comelectronics.com/training. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items so you know how to participate in the event. We've taken a screenshot of an example of the attendee interface. You should see something that looks like this on your own computer desktop. You're listening in using your computer speaker system by default, and you're automatically muted to eliminate background noise. If you would prefer to join over the phone, just select the handset in the audio pane at the bottom right, and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will have the opportunity to submit questions about today's lesson by typing your questions into the Q&A pane of the control panel anytime, and we'll address them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. If you're like me, you'll forget, so the best time to send in your questions is when you think of them. Now, once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation. We would appreciate it if you would complete that and let us know how we did so we can continue to bring you relevant training. You will also receive a follow-up email within 48 hours with a link to view a recording of today's webinar. For those who are wanting to report this training to their state certification or licensing agency, send an email to info@comelectronics.com. So let's get started. Patti Davis had planned to be an elementary classroom teacher, earning her BBS in education and master's in reading. But then she discovered her life's work was teaching people of all ages. Over the past 24 years, Patti has worked in one capacity or another in public education at the West Central Texas Council of Government. Whether it was interviewing skills, GED study skills, computer skills, or 911 awareness, her jobs at the COG have enabled Patti to feed her passions, which are passions for connecting people, with resources, with learning, and with information. So Patti, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today, Beth. And I'd like to thank everybody who's joining us on the webinar today. We'll just go ahead and I'd like to find out, what was your dream job? What did you want to be when you grew up? And are you doing the job you dreamed of as a child? Why don't we poll the group, Beth? What was your dream job?
Okay, we'll give everybody a moment to answer. A lot of people want to do fries with that.
Fries actually right now.
Some people would like to also offer a shake. So let's see what else we're getting.
It's about half and half.
About half and half, yes.
Well, I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was the age of these kids that you see on the screen, and not too much today because I'd probably be gagging the whole time that I was trying to do my work. But then I wanted to be an occupational therapist, but there's too much math involved in that, and I don't math as well as I do other things. So then I thought, well, I can be an elementary school teacher. I really love kids. And then the older I got, the more I thought, do I really want to be with kids all day long? So here I am. I have my education degree and my master's in reading, and I'm not a classroom teacher, but those degrees helped me transition into the 911 world and to do what I'm doing today. And it gave me some background knowledge that has really helped me along the way. And I've always had my foot in education in one aspect or another. So I haven't ever let those degrees go to waste, but I'm not doing what traditionally people do with an education degree. And honestly, I still haven't even decided what I want to be when I grow up. Results of our survey looks like shakes are the winner.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Next slide. Maybe your dream job was a profession. Maybe it was an astronaut. Maybe it was a police officer. Maybe you wanted to be the trash man. That's my husband always wanted to be the trash man when he was a kid, and but few of us have dreamt of being a public safety educator. But that's the place that we've landed, that we've been assigned, or maybe we felt called to serve in. And do you guys have the poll is still up on there, Miss Beth? Have we got our slideshow moving along? Maybe you saw a need in your community and you've stepped up to help that need. And that's the exact reason why myself and 3 other public educators created the National Public Safety Educator Forum that I've been a part of since 2008. After year, we kept hearing the same comments from the frontline public educators at conferences. We'd hear, I don't even know where to start, or I've just been assigned to this task. I don't have any admin support on my side. I don't have a budget. That is one of the overwhelming things that we hear is I don't have a budget. So how am I supposed to do this? Or where can I find quality materials? So we saw this need in our community of 911 public educators and came up with a pretty creative solution to help fill that gap. Today, the National Public Safety Educator Forum started from those 4 public educators, and now we have over 2,200 participants worldwide, even in New Zealand and the Virgin Islands. So on slide 8, we're going to play a little video. Our sound is not on. Okay, as public educators, you learn very quickly that sometimes your AV doesn't work. This video is some testimonials that you can find on our MPEF YouTube channel, and you can listen to it a little bit later. But it's basically some of our attendees from the conference this year, and they're talking about how MPEF impacted them in the way that they're approaching public education and the way that they're going to be able to use the resources from MPEF in their public education program. So we'll just move on to the next part. MPEF it's really a supportive and judgment-free zone of public education professionals, and we're all striving toward the same goal of success and success in our public education programs. And that, in turn, helps save lives. So no matter our job is in public safety, what our job title is, there's one goal that we're all striving for, and that's to help people and save lives, right? That's what we're all here for. So next slide. You've heard about public education. You may have been in an audience for a public education presentation as a child or an adult, or maybe you remember the community helpers who visited your school as a child, those DARE officers. All of those people were public educators of one type or another. But now, being put in this position, the thought of actually being that person doing the presentation can be a little bit intimidating. So right now, maybe you're thinking, I'm not a teacher, or I could never talk in front of a group. Or maybe you don't know where to begin. You don't have any idea where to find the materials, what constitutes quality materials. Hesitant to approach your administrators with a proposal for public education. So this afternoon I'm going to share some information that I hope will help you see the big picture and maybe even entice you to create or strengthen your own public education program. And in doing that, we're going to touch on the who, what, where, when, why, and how of basic public education. Sometimes when you see the big picture first, you can make all the details easier to understand. I'm a big picture person. So what is a public education program, or as we say in our industry, a pub ed program? What is that? Well, in the public safety realm, pub ed refers to the outreach and advocacy programs designed to promote emergency services and how to properly access the services. Properly access, we know, is a general term that is in a number of different ways by our citizens. But that is our goal as public educators, is to promote those services and how to properly access them. And believe me, it's not just handing out coloring books and crayons or a few brochures. There's a lot involved in public education, and you can get as deep in public education as you'd like to get. Now, handing out coloring books and crayons and a few brochures, that's a really surface level way to do pub ed. It's the bare minimum that you can do. But I'm going to take you a little bit deeper, and we're going to discuss some ways that you can really give some depth to your public education program. So who should do pub ed? You should be doing pub ed. Anyone can do pub ed with a little bit of motivation, a little inspiration, and a little bit of effort. A lot of us heard our parents say, and I know y'all are going to see and hear your parents when I say these, but he told us, nothing good ever comes easy, or you get out of it what you put in it. And I know probably 99% of us have heard, money does not grow on trees. These statements are true for pub ed as well as your children. But the good news is that you're not alone, and you don't have to have all the answers or have a budget. You just have to have the willingness to serve your community and to help save lives. Okay, slide 14. Public educators and their programs come in all sizes, shapes, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. You name it, there's a pub ed person that would fit in it. There we go. Okay, as you can see from these photos, Miss Beth. These photos that I've uploaded to this slide, they're, a wide variety of public educators. There are a wide variety of ages, a wide variety of audiences in these. There we go. You can have fun, you can be serious, you can There's all different kinds of things you can do with public education. So we'll go ahead and go on with this one. So one public education program. Is it because you can become a millionaire before the age of 30? I can hear a lot of laughing going on out there right now. Is it because it looks good on your resume? Is it because it gets you out of the office? Or is it because your boss told you to do it? Some of those might be the reasons, although I have a feeling millionaire is not one of them at all. But then is because it will make an impact on your community and in your agency. Next slide. The primary way it will impact your community is by getting rid of the myths that surround public safety agencies. Since my area of expertise is in 911, of course, I'm going to use some examples from 911 that we have experienced over the years. Although I'm positive you could come up with a very own from your own area of expertise. We've all seen the TV shows that are, bad calls to 911, on all of the live PD. We've seen all of the different things that create these myths. So here are some myths that we have in the 911 industry and that our telecommunicators deal with every week. 911 is for any kind of water, electric outages, animal emergencies. 911 is a general information helpline for community events, weather, and sports scores. That happens very frequently on Friday nights in Texas because we have, football is the cornerstone of our Friday nights in the fall, and we have people call all the time wanting to know what the final score was. 911 is only for callers who can speak English. 911 location automatically because they saw it on CSI and they know it's true. 911 can diagnose your illness over the phone. 911 can determine if it's safe to stay in your house when there's a fire or some strange odors. 911 doesn't have time for senior citizens or kids that are alone at home, especially kids that are scared by themselves. 911 is not available for deaf and hard of hearing callers. 911 can send someone, and that call is happening more and more often, from what I understand. Okay? So what happens to those myths if we don't have a public education program in our community or our regional 911 communication center? Well, those realities become our community's perceptions. Those myths become realities, People don't know how to call 911 when there is a real emergency, nor do they know what a real emergency is. Residents call for any reason at any time. 911 lines can be tied up with non-emergency calls, such as prank calls or calls for those football scores or calls to find out who is in that ambulance going down the street in front of my house. Because I know my Aunt Bertha, she's been sick and she just lives right down the street. Residents put off seeking medical attention and possibly die, and we definitely don't want that to happen. Strange odors become an explosion waiting to happen. Fires trap victims in structures while they call 911 because they didn't know. Get out of the structure, then go call 911 in a safe place. Senior citizens don't get needed assistance. I know a lot of our telecommunicators, whenever they're talking to senior citizens on the phone, they do a well health checkup with them, not like a medical checkup, but, if they know there's a cold front coming through, a really strong one, they'll, is your heater working okay? Do you have water? They'll ask them questions like that just to, make sure that their seniors are getting the attention they need or the help that they might need. The deaf and hard of hearing residents spend precious time routing calls through 711 because they think that 911 is not capable of communicating with them. So they're going to call through 711 or another mode and waste some precious time getting help out to them. Residents feel isolated and helpless during emergencies, and that is the one thing that we don't want our callers to feel. We don't want them to feel like they're isolated or helpless. So the other problem that comes up is you have a mountain of liability issues. Whenever these myths become realities, your agency is going to have liability issues that could result in court time, extra staff time having to spend going through records, or in some cases the wrong thing was done, and then you have to take care of that. Public education programs, though, have been proven successful in helping prevent those liability issues and also prevent negative PR for your agency on both sides of the fence, the agency and the public. So PubEd reduces staffing and training expenses. How does that happen? Many times, public education is one of the first lines to suffer from reductions in funding. We all know that is something that is at the bottom of the budget list. But without public education, how can we expect our citizens that we serve to know what we expect of them? How do we get the message out to as many citizens as possible for the least amount of money? Or if you have had massive budget cuts, how do you do that with no money? Where there are consistent public education experts present, there are less non-emergency calls, and callers are prepared before calling. The way that impacts the staffing budget is because less time is spent on each call because the callers are prepared, and there are less staff time spent on those non-emergency calls because people know, don't call about the weather forecast, don't call about the ambulance driving down the there is less burnout, turnover in staff, and that in turn can reduce sick leave, and that in turn equals reduced overtime budget. In most cases, beginning with general basic messages, that's going to do the trick. In the case of 911, we stress basics most of the time for our general public. We have realized, being in this as many years as I have, we start discussing, what new messages do we need to put out there? And there's always a new message that we need to put out there because of the technologies that are evolving all the time. But we always go back to the basics. It always goes full circle back to the know your location. Stay calm, don't hang up, don't disconnect. All those kinds of things are basics that, and only call if there's. Okay, for an example, on the next slide, Longmont, Colorado was getting a lot of 911 calls from kids playing with cell phones. And my telecommunicators, they call these the heavy breathers. So they took matters into their own hands, and they hired some excellent actors to help educate the citizens. So we're going to take a look at the result that they came up with. Maybe our sound will work this time.
I make no guarantee because I'm dialed in on my phone. Maybe that's.
Well, this also is on YouTube if you put in a search for Longmont and cell phones are not toys. It's really cute. It's got cute music. I apologize that the sound's not working on this for everybody. Now, who could resist that? And you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck because there's cute kids in here, number one. Number two, if you share this on social media, what grandparent is not going to want to say, hey, my grandkid was in a video that was for public education. Take a look at it. So not only are they going to share that because their grandkids in it, it's public education bang for your buck out of it. But they didn't use anything except kids, a chalkboard, and some cute little props. And then their, first responder equipment. All right, next slide, Ms. Beth. So how do you start a pub ed program? Pub ed programs are not difficult to start. You can, with one little tiny thing that you want to do. But you have to have a little bit of passion, and you have to have a lot of resources if you're going to want to go into depth on your pub ed program. Okay, Beth, let's poll the group again. What are your passions?
Okay, we'll give y'all a moment to answer. And if your passions aren't listed on here, then you can type in your passion in the Q&A. We actually have some people that public speaking is a passion for them. That's awesome.
That would be a natural.
Nobody likes to do fundraising.
Imagine that. I'm really surprised that that we have so many people that are into stats and numbers. That's great.
Well
fundraising
has to be.
Fundraising's not as daunting as everybody thinks it is. Just takes a lot more work. Great. Okay, we got a lot of organizers out there. Awesome. I myself am an organizer.
I'm sorry, somebody said that their passion is animals.
Okay. Alrighty. So if you're employed in the public safety industry, you're more than likely passionate about helping people. And I'm glad to see that we've got a wide variety of passions out there. And gathering these like-minded people can make the task of creating your pub ed program a lot easier for you. So we've talked a little bit about what are your passions, but now what are your skills? Talking about yourself, let's think about it. What skills do you have to offer? What kind of gifts do you have? What kind of interests? We talked about interests just a minute ago, kind of your passions. And what kind of talents do you have? You might have talents or skills, gifts or interest in numbers, statistics, tech gadgets and computers. Believe it or not, if you had a tick, that would come in very, very handy doing pub ed because that would draw people in to come talk to you if you're doing magic tricks. Are you gifted or interested or talented with being able to talk to senior citizens? Do you just have a heart for senior citizens or for children? Do you have an interest in music? There's all different kinds of ways you can tie music into a pub ed program. Do you like to work with adults? Maybe you're, also are a trainer and you like to work with adults. Do you like to design graphics? That's something that I really like to do. That makes my heart sing whenever I get to design graphics. Do you like photography? Beth, what are some of the passions that you have?
Well, I could talk to a fence post.
That's helpful sometimes.
Yeah. I am not good with numbers or tech, gadgets, or computers. And not really children, but adult senior citizens. Music is probably my biggest talent.
Really?
And I'll tell you, yes, and I never thought to use music in a pub ed program. That is actually, as long as I've been doing this, I have never thought to do that. So I've learned something new today that I could do.
Awesome. Well, I have a great example of music in a pub ed program. You think back when we were kids and we're going to Vacation Bible School, and they teach us songs. A lot of us still remember those songs. You can use music to come up with a little jingle to teach the kids in your pub ed program a jingle about, public safety, about how to reach police, fire, 911, or maybe what is a 911, or what is an emergency and what's not an emergency. I know there's a lot of us out here that have heard 911, 911, in an emergency, 911. That's from the Reddy Fox video, and I've heard that so many times that it's in my dreams sometimes.
Yes, and you just got that in my head again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's kind of like the Barney song, "And Stay With You Forever." So when we're in retirement homes one of these days, we're just going to be sitting around reciting our 911 songs. But that's a way that music can fit in. Another way music can fit in is, like if you create a video, and we have someone on staff here that created a PSA, and he played the background music for the PSA. So that was really helpful and free. So no matter what your previous experiences are, you can use those in public education. All you have to do is just be a little bit creative. So you want to take advantage of your skills, gifts, and interests, but you also want to take advantage of others who are like-minded and want to save lives. And I've listed here some ideas. Who could you add to your list of potential team players? So go ahead, if you haven't gotten out your pen and paper yet, notes, go ahead and get out a piece of paper or a Post-it note and start thinking as we go through this list. Who are some people that could be team players with me, that are like-minded, that have that same goal of saving lives, or feel like that is an important thing to do? These are some of the types of people you might want on your team. Of course, organizers. I get kind of giddy whenever I get to organize all of junk. I know that's kind of sick, but that I get excited about. Find some people, think of some people who enjoy showing hospitality or like to greet people. Those are the people in your office that you run into in the hallway, and they always say good morning, or they have a smile on their face, or you might have heard them encouraging other people. They make you feel like you're welcome. Public speakers, people that are professed public speakers, and I'm thinking public officials, are really great at doing public speaking. But public officials, elected officials, also like to get their face out there because they're usually running for office again. So those are great people to put on your list. One of the most invaluable kind of people that you can have on your team is somebody who likes to think outside the box. Somebody who plays devil's advocate sometimes, or to come up with these random ideas, and you think, wow, I never thought of that before. That's a great idea. So people who can think outside the regular box. I have a hard time getting outside my box sometimes. So I have a few people that I rely on a regular basis to go, okay, here's what I want to do. Give me some ideas for this. So then you're going to want the bottom half of this slide. You're going to want some people also are content experts. Those content experts are going to be people who are going to be able to give you information based on the content that they work with on a daily basis, such as your coworkers. Maybe, and those are like what I call your grassroots or your frontline staff. Maybe that's your telecommunicators, your officers, your firemen, your paramedics, all of those kinds of people that work with the public every day, and they're going to be able to tell you, I mean, in the snap of a finger, what issues they have and what issues they need to get addressed with the public. So another type of person that you might want on your team is a graphic designer. Graphic design is, there are so many cool tools out there to use to do graphic design if you're an amateur or if you don't even know how to do graphic design. There's one in particular that I use all the time called Canva, CANVA.com, and they have a free subscription, and then if you use it on a regular basis, it's really not too expensive, and you can use that. But that is super easy to do, and it's got all different kinds of templates to use on there for social media, for business, for everything. And they've got some really great graphics too. But you don't have to be a graphic designer if you have what you can access to do graphic design. Be sure to utilize your GIS staff or your mapping staff or your accounting staff. Those folks are really great at helping you with stats and justifications for your program. Once you start doing a program, you're going to want to start keeping some stats because those will come in handy later on if you need to justify your program or if you are requesting funding. Somebody might want to know, well, how do you know this stuff is going to work? Well, then you've got your stats. For an example, I wanted to use one of our agencies here in Texas, and it's down in South Texas, and they actually use their GIS staff. They have developed an in-house app that they use with their public education program, and it gives them automatic stats whenever they go out to do a program, and it, from what I understand, it is all incorporated together, and it counts people, the populations that they're serving at the moment. It's got all kinds of stats. And if you're interested in finding out some more about that, I can definitely hook you up with them. I know they'd be happy to share that information with you and how they utilize their GIS staff. Something, since the majority of the folks on our call today, well, actually no one liked fundraising as a passion. So that might be something that if you can find someone who is an experienced fundraiser or someone who has a lot of donor contacts, people that have gone out there in the community before that have solicited for organizations, they're going to know how to approach folks and how to get some donations. And that it doesn't necessarily mean cash donations, but like if you're doing a public education booth and you want to give everybody a bottle of water, your local grocery store or your local might be able to provide some of those items for you. So also people that would be great on your team that could give you more information about your target audience. Let's say that you want to target deaf and hard of hearing teenagers. You're going to want to know somebody or have somebody on your team for that particular project that is connected with the teenage deaf and hard of hearing community. They're going to know how to communicate best with them. They're going to know what gets their attention. They're going to know all of the things that can help you have a successful pub ed program for that target audience. Okay, next slide. So once you have a few people on board that are key people, And it doesn't have to be any more than you and another person just to start planning. But you want to determine a format for your meetings. Are we going to have conference calls? Are we going to FaceTime? Excuse me. Are we going to have web meetings like we're having today? Are we going to meet on our lunch break at the office? Then you need to identify common goals or issues that need to be addressed in your community, just like we were talking about. Go talk to some of your frontline folks, your grassroots folks, and find out what are some problems that you have going on in your community that can be addressed. Just like butt dials for 911, that's always a huge issue. People don't lock their keypad, and they call 911 accidentally. Or you might have a lot of people that are still letting their kids play with their cell phones without the battery out. Then you want to prioritize your goals and develop a plan of action or a timeline to attain those goals. All of this can be really simple. It can just be on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything formal, but the more people that you get involved to help you, the better it would be for you to have something down on paper so that you can share with them, so they can see what your vision is or how you're going to get this accomplished. Let them know that you're really serious about doing this. So the further down the road you get, the more help you might need. So where are some places that you can recruit help? Obviously at your agency, especially if you're doing something that is public education for your agency. But within your agency, have you thought about the trainers? Have you thought about your administrators? If they're asking you to do a pub ed program, they should want to participate in that program somehow and help lend a hand. Your first responders, your GIS, your mapping staff. Then you start looking outside your agency to other agencies. If you're 911, you're connected to all kinds of agencies. So look at those other agencies to see if they might want to help. Then you can look to your civic and community organizations such as Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, Boys and Girl Scouts. There's always different kinds of projects you can do with kids. Local businesses. We partner in a few of our counties. We partner with local cell phone stores, and we take Cell Phone Sally out there. She's a cell phone, and that's going to draw people into their new storefront whenever they're having a grand opening or something. Then we can do some public education while we're there and tell people to be sure and take the batteries out of their old phones, or to lock their keypad, or know their location. You can also look to your middle schools, your high schools, and your colleges for volunteers for help. You can even offer to do projects with them. We've done addressing programs in our region before where some of the kids from the high school, whenever they were having a summer work program for the kids, they would create address signs to be posted on people's houses for that community, and they got the whole community done that summer. That's a great way to incorporate your GIS and mapping staff too. Look to your retired professionals, teachers, first responders, those kind of retired professionals that know how to do what you're going to be doing, and they're your content experts too. And don't forget your friends and family. That's, they want to help you succeed. And more than likely, they're going to say, sure, I would love to come wear Cell Phone Sally for you. Or, my husband and I have had a hot date some nights while we were doing public education booth together. Okay, next slide. Another good reason to collaborate with a group of like-minded people is we've all heard the saying that 2 heads are better than 1. So just think what happens when you have 10 heads together and you have the same goal in mind. Individually, we all have good ideas, but when we collaborate, we get a great idea. Next slide. These are all examples of collaborative projects that resulted in quality materials for 911 public education efforts. The T-shirts on the top left were a collaborative effort between some graphic designers, PubEd staff. We even had a math teacher get involved in this. And she made sure that we had the correct number. This was for the 50th anniversary of 911. So we counted up how many seconds, because seconds count in 911. Seconds can save lives. And so this math teacher made sure we had an accurate number for the correct number of seconds in 50 years. And I didn't do it correctly the first time. I didn't count leap years, and she pointed that out to me. We need to count leap years. So that's how that collaborative effort came about. Washington State has an excellent PubEd group. The penguin, really cute little penguin guy on the top right, was developed in Washington State and is used throughout their state for public education, and that is some really good quality material as well. Ready Fox, California and Texas public educators collaborated back in the 90s whenever 911 first began being implemented in Texas and California. And Ready Fox became an icon for 911 public education. Cell Phone Sally was developed with a collaborative effort between Texas public educators and our Commission on State Emergency Communications in Austin. These are all great materials, and they're all quality materials. They have good information in them. Okay, next slide. So you've got the reasons, the motivation, the goals, and the list of potential players started for your team. Now, how do you find time to implement these ideas? That is one of my biggest challenges, is how do I find time to do everything that I've been assigned to do? I wear a lot of hats in my department, and I struggle all the time coming up with enough time to do it. What are some of the hats you wear in addition to public education? Beth, let's poll the group again. What are some of the hats you wear in your agency in addition to public education?
Okay, we'll give y'all a moment to Okay.
The majority of public educators aren't even employed primarily as public educators. We're frontline staff or supervisors. As you can see here, the majority of our people in the poll are from management or admin at their agency. Unfortunately, unless you're employed as a full-time public educator, our education endeavors frequently land on the bottom of our priority pile. Okay. Learning how to fit public education activities in our schedule is challenging for anyone, especially those of us that wear a lot of hats. But with a little extra planning and help, success can be yours. Don't be mistaken, though. Full-time pub ed people, they have just as difficult a time juggling tasks and getting things scheduled. They have a lot on their plate, too. It doesn't make it easy when that's your only task at your agency. That's where another type of resource can be helpful, a public education group. So what are some of the benefits of participating in a public education group? For many, participating in a networking group provides a consistently reliable source of advice and support for topics that are not readily available in your area of expertise. But it has a lot of benefits, and these are just some of them. They're all like-minded professionals with the same goals. We collaborate to turn good ideas into great ideas. We share ideas, materials, techniques, strategies, things that work, things that don't work. We have a network of support, the old buddy system, never go without a friend. We also do what we call cooperative purchases, where we can buy 30,000 pencils at the $30,000 price and then only pay for 1,000 of that out of our budget, because that's how much we can afford to purchase. So that saves time and money when you do cooperative purchases. You can brainstorm together. Just to, I was talking earlier about there's some people in my pocket that I call on all the time to just help me get my creative juices flowing, to help me get inspired. And all of that makes your job easier. Having these people make your job easier. So one great resource is the National Public Safety Educator Forum that we've been talking about, and that I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. And you can join MPEF. It's totally free. There's no commitment. You're not going to get a lot of junk emails. It's all about sharing public education resources. And you even get access to our MPEF Dropbox of PubEd resources. Up there on the top left, I did a screenshot of our Dropbox, and that's just, a portion of the folders that are in there. But those folders all have examples from over the years and from across the country. And also, there's a coloring book in there from New Zealand that was shared by one of our members in New Zealand. So where do you do PubEd? Oh, we're running short on time. You do PubEd anywhere you have an audience and anywhere your agency will allow you to educate the public. Next slide. There are 4 primary locations: community events, businesses, schools, and social media. These are where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So on the next slide, the community events. Every community has events. Even if they don't, you can set up in front of a grocery store or a popular restaurant or a shopping center and create your own community, and you can educate the public. Next slide. Businesses. They're always looking for ways to connect with other parts of the community. Just for example, they connect with the medical community through blood drives. Their employees volunteer at Habitat for Humanity. So why wouldn't they want to help you promote your message and work on your project? Next is schools. Kid Hero programs are an excellent way to get triple results for your PubEd efforts. Good PR for your agency, honoring the heroism of the child or the correct actions of the child, and you can educate more children with those correct actions whenever you highlight those. That's an excellent way to educate kids. Social media, that is a double-edged sword that can help or harm with stroke of a sword. But wow, do you get a lot of bang for your buck on social media. There are also some programs that you can utilize. One of them is called Hootsuite, Hootsuite, and it's a great way to be able to post to multiple sites with the tap of one key. So when do you do a public education program? Like I said, you can do it anytime, so you can tell anyone, anywhere, wherever there's anywhere you make an opportunity. You can do a PubEd program at expos. You can do a PubEd program at, next slide, at parades. The trailer on the left side on the parade, that's a banner for a parade that was made using a mapping printer. Festivals. Those are always a great place to do public education. You can do it anywhere. You can do public education in your agency, at your office. You can do it at admin meetings. You can do it at first responder meetings. I've done it in the grocery store in line when I overheard a conversation and someone was not telling someone else the correct information about 911. You can do it in restaurants, chairs. You can even do it on the bus. People might look at you weird, but that's okay. Public educators are weird sometimes. We have to be that way to get our message across and get the attention we need. But regardless of your position in public safety, pub ed and collaboration can make a difference in your community and in your agency. So jump in. There's no time like the present. And I want to leave you with one last thought today. Next slide. If cauliflower can somehow become pizza, you, my friend, can do anything.
Well, thank you, Patti. And I agree with that, although I've never had pizza with cauliflower. But thank you very much. Even I learned something during this. As long as I've been doing this, I never even thought, like I said, about doing music. So that'll be something on my mind. So we're going to get to questions in just a moment. But first, I wanted to let everyone know to join us next month on November 6th, same bat time, same bat channel, for our next episode of Public Safety Webinars, 911 Technology for Non-Engineers, How the Magic Happens. If you've ever wondered how 911 comes to you, what some of those acronyms actually mean, and what you need to know coming up, join us for this session taught by me, a technology impaired. So let's get to some of the questions that were submitted. So one question that I had, when you were talking about doing pub ed for your senior citizens, and you were talking about how some of your dispatchers will ask them, you know, if they have enough heat, do they have enough water, you know, different things like that. Do you have, when you do pub ed for senior citizens, do you have information to give them about agencies that can help them if they don't have enough heat or enough water or enough food or whatever?
I don't have handouts with that listed on there specifically, but you can always create one real easily. In most areas nowadays, I think 211 is the one that would have the materials for that to contact them. But in general, our telecommunicators, you know, they just really care a lot for their community and their residents. And in my experience, our telecommunicators, you know, they pick up on things whenever somebody's calling in. They'll pick up on, you know, I really need to ask a little bit more of this person and find out, make sure everything's okay, because they just don't sound right. But that is something that you can create. There are senior citizen handouts in our MPEF Dropbox that educate them about 911 in specific. But you can take any of the brochures that are or handouts that are on the MPEF Dropbox. That's the neat thing about our group, is that anything that's shared on there, you can take it and use it for education purposes and put your own logo on it, change the colors. You can, you know, pretty much use that for your base format and then go with it. Did that answer your question?
Correct. Yes, it does. One more question. What are some of the biggest challenges you face? Did you hear the question?
Yes, I did. Okay. Some of the biggest challenges that we face, of course, number one that comes up, I don't face this myself necessarily at our agency, but budget. That's budget and getting administrators on board to do public education, and to allow you to do public education. Those are the two biggies that I hear over and over from people that are interested in doing public education, is no budget and no support. But that's where, a group like MPEF can really help out, because we've got folks that have had really great public education programs with absolutely no budget. We've got I know two people personally, they do it even on their own time and out of their own pocket, because they feel that strongly that it needs to be done in their community. And that's really going above and beyond. But, whenever you start getting connected with people that are really passionate about something, there's not anything that's going to prevent them from helping fill that gap. Okay.
Well, and something else I thought about too, with some of the resources that you have on the NPEF Dropbox, some of the things, even though you don't have a pub ed budget, things that can be printed out can come from your office supply budget.
For
printing.
That's our number one trick of the trade, I think, using your office supply. A great example is that, we were talking about earlier getting water bottles donated. You can take the basic mailing labels that you get, 5160 labels. You can take those and type up your 911 message or your PD message, whatever kind of pub ed message you want to put on there. Print those out and slap them on the water bottles, and there you go. You've got customized water bottles, and they didn't cost you anything. So that's one way. Another way that we've used is kind of office supply funds is I had a public educator tell me tablecloth one time for an event, and so she went to the dollar store and got a white plastic tablecloth, and she happened to have some 911 stickers, big reflective stickers in her car, and she used those on her tablecloth to let everybody know what she was there for.
Oh, good idea. Okay. Well, that's all we've got on questions. So I do want y'all to know, this is Patty's contact information. And so if you have any questions for her, you can definitely reach out to her. And then if you think of anything else, if she can't help you, they've got 2,200 plus public educators out there that could help you and that are more than happy and willing to do that. So
I wanted to thank you, Beth, and also thank you for the webinar today. And you guys, I know, are huge supporters of public education for public safety, and I really appreciate that, and it makes me happy to see you guys supporting public education continually. So, and to everybody else, if you think of additional questions or you need help with your pub ed program, don't hesitate to reach out to me. We've got over 2,200 public educator brains in our MPEF network that could be, you could pick their brain, something new today, and I really appreciate you taking time to attend our webinar today.
Thank you, Patty. Remember, if you want if you need the information on today's lesson for your continuing education credits, send an email to info@comelectronics.com, and it's comelectronics, C-O-M, electronics.com. Thank you for joining us. This presentation is Electronics, provider of public safety solutions, including Higher Ground NG 911 recording, CQIP third-party quality assurance program, and Carbine 911 next generation call handling platform. Have a great day, and thank you, Patti.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, everyone else.